high quality visuals for your just chatting, ASMR and karaoke streams? Well, I'm going to show you in this video how to do just that using Shoost and VTube Studio. With this powerful software, I can show you how to turn your visuals from looking like this to this. So the first thing that you're obviously going to want to do is you want to go over to Patreon and over to Miro. He is the sole creator of Shoost. He is a one-man team who has created this amazing software that allows you to create these insane visuals for streams, for video, and even if you just want to mess around with, obviously, as you can see. So you just go over to his Patreon, get his silver tier subscription, and then head on over to the Shoost. You should get a post in the front that says new tool Shoost, and then essentially you want to go through where you can download the different versions. So once you've done that, you can now head into VTube Studio. Preferably when you install Shoost, you should get it in a folder, and then in that folder you just extract it and then save the unextracted folder in a location that's convenient for you. But once inside VTube Studio, you can just head over to the settings tab in the camera, as you can see up here. And once you do that, you scroll all the way down just past the display lighting, and you should see an option here for Spout 2 config. Now, you just want to click install Spout 2. You should get this message pop up. Just click more info. But once you've done that, it will take you to this. It should open up on whatever browser of your choice that you use. It should take you to this website, Offworld, where you can install the Spout 2 plugin. There's a quick guide here on how to install it. So the easiest way would be to just click the little underlined release page right here, which will then open up another tab. And then you'll see these 4 things here. Now for me, I just installed the top one. I'm not sure if the second one will work, but the top one worked for me. I think they both should be fine. But then you just want to click that, and then it will add to your downloads up here. Once you install the plugin, just go ahead and open it and launch the installer. Go through and then just click finish when it's done. And that's literally it. That's all you need to do. It's super quick, super easy. It's not an intensive plugin for your OBS. It won't mess up your OBS. It's really convenient. So once you've got that stage done, that is all of the install stuff ready to go. When you've done that, you can then go back into your VTube Studio and then tick this little check mark under the install Spout 2 button that says activate Spout 2. But once you've done that, just head on over to your OBS. And then once you're over on your OBS, be sure to click on the sources page. If you have a scene that you have set up already, or you want to add it to an existing scene, just simply go to your sources, add a new source, and then you should see that there is now a Spout 2 capture option. You want to click on that, and then in the settings of that tab, you could either first available sender, Shoost, or VTube Studio. I like using Shoost. If this doesn't appear, then you might just need to open the software, the Shoost software beforehand, which is fine, but the composite mode you can keep at default. And the poll time for new senders you can put the fast. Right, then you can go ahead now and open your new software Shoost, and then it should look something like this. Now, if you're new to like these sorts of softwares, then obviously this is going to look really overwhelming, but I promise you it's actually surprisingly easy to get your head around, and everything is very neatly laid out for what you need. Now, the first thing that we want to do is these are your layers. So essentially, these are the things that are going to kind of like, I guess if you ever use like Photoshop, After Effects, Premiere Pro, these are just your standard things that are going to separate the different elements inside your stream. So start off, you can just bin this like color square thing. I think this is just more to show how the different filters and stuff will affect it, which we'll get into later. And then we have your background layer down here, and then you have your layer 2, which obviously the default is just this as a reference. But for this one, this is what the layer 2, this is what we're going to use as our VTuber layer. So first thing you want to do is you want to head over to settings, and then you want to make sure that Spout capture and Spout output are both ticked on. because that will then allow us to then capture VTube Studio and our VTuber. You can also set frame rates here, save files if you want to record or take screenshots inside of Shoost, but you can still do this inside OBS. And then you can set the frame rate, which obviously I like to set things, although it will take up a lot more space, I like to set them to 60 and best, and video resolution to either match your monitor, or in my case I have a 4K monitor, so I can create 4K visuals if I wanted to. But we'll get into stuff like that later. But once you have the spout capture and spout output ticked, we can come back into layer, and you notice a third dot has appeared here, and you can just click on the arrow to go along to window capture, and then on the window capture you can select VTube Studio, and as you can see my VTuber is now popped into place. Obviously it is quite large, but we can fix that by changing the scale here. Or you can go ahead and rescale yourself inside of VTube Studio as well. So now that we have our VTuber in and it's like positioned how we like it, we can then come down into the background layer and click on import, which you should then just get your files come up. And then once you do, just go through any of your assets, backgrounds you might use for stream or your videos. So in my case, I have some really nice Japanese styled ones that I got for free. So we'll just do this nice spring one here. Let's click on this. And then we have our nice background in. But now we can start experimenting with effects. So right now, one I like to do just to give a bit more depth is, as you can see on each layer, you'll have all of these sort of icons here. These are your different effects for the specific layer. Now, I tend to not use these too much, but obviously it is purely down to experimentation. But the one I like to use specifically for my background is the blur, mainly because I like to create that sort of film look and create a real sense of depth in my scenes. So whenever you add a new effect, it will then add it down towards the bottom. So you have two options, you have Gaussian and you have lens blur. I like to use lens and then maybe just ramp it up to like, maybe quite low so it's not too blurry, but maybe like anywhere between 0.1 and 0.2 is quite good. I can also rescale my background a little bit here so it just looks a bit nicer. So we can put that there. And then that is the main layers section sorted. One thing I probably forgot to mention as well, before you do anything, if you import your VTuber and you're like, oh, I can't see my background or it's not transparent, please make sure that in your VTube Studio that you have the color picker background selected with the transparency ticked on. Now, with all that said and done, we can then start messing around with effects. This is what's really going to transform your scenes from looking sort of normal to then really nice, high quality, cinematic kind of visuals. So you can go ahead and click the effects tab up here. And now you'll start seeing a lot of sliders, loads of icons, and once again, it looks really intimidating. I promise you it's not so bad because you will not need to use practically most of these icons. These are purely just for experimental. I'll probably do some more tutorials in the future showing the sort of cool things that you can do with them. But for now, we are going to just show up the very basic setup, and then I will then go later into showing how to do the sort of high quality visuals that I've posted on my Twitter, which I will also show some screenshots on the screen here. So the first thing we want to do to really get that nice cinematic sort of effect, we can go to the screen effects up here, and then you'll have four modes. You have none, normal, which you can see is already making quite a nice difference, diffusion, which is my personal favorite, which really, it adds quite a heavy haze and makes things a little bit darker, but really gives that sort of cinematic flair. Or there is glow, which in this case isn't massively, it just really makes the lighter parts in your scene glow a lot. So I recommend either doing normal or diffusion. In this case, I'll do diffusion. But if you think it is a little bit too much, then we can obviously just turn the opacity down to a level that you like to really sort of go with what you want. Then you could even go a step further with this version, and you can see a little screen filter icon here. If you click this, you'll see here you get loads and loads of different filters that you can apply on top of the diffusion effect. So you can have natural sharp, natural deep 2, and then so on, and you can just flick through these if there's like a very specific artistic style that you want to go with. You can create some nice visuals with, like if you want to create like a nice white haze at the top, you can also change the angle as well. One of the last finishing touches that I like to do that really blends the character into the scene is we have the effect rim light up here, which will then create a artificial light around your VTuber model. So if we come down here, we'll now see rim light. So you can have a single light source, both sides, single sharpen, or both sides sharpen. Now, I really recommend taking note of the sort, if you're very serious about blending the character into your scene, I really recommend trying to look at the sort of background that you have and determining what light source would look best if you're going for the most realistic look. So in this case, I'll probably do both sides since there isn't a prominent light source other than these two lanterns. And then we can mess around with the size. So this will show how much it wraps around your VTuber. So if you have like an overhead light, this would be quite good. But in our case, it's just coming from directly behind. So we just want to do the very edges and then change the size. I think the size is fine. And that really sort of highlights the edges of your character, separating them from the background. And then the other thing that really brings it in is you can see you have a little white color thing here. This is a color, essentially have a color cube. And then using this pipette tool or color picker tool, whatever you'd like to call it, you can then go over your scene and essentially look for any parts that you think would blend it in quite nicely. So in my case, I wanted to do the lantern color. See, it's sort of quite dark. So if we just along the same line but go brighter, see it changes the color a bit. Or if I wanted to just blend it in, make it more pinkish. That's way too dark once again, sorry. We could do that too and make the size a bit nicer, or just make this a lot brighter actually, a brighter pink. There we go. Then you can really see how it has, like so. So one thing I think that can really help blend your character into the scene, and it's quite a big one, is if you come back into VTube Studio, then if you scroll up, you can see display lighting. Now, this is a really nice, cool little tool inside VTube Studio that I think a lot of people miss. What we can use this for is, you may see there's this no signal thing here, and we're like, what is that? What is that doing? But essentially what this does is you should have either 1 or 2, depending on what how many, I believe displays you have. So how many monitors. In my case, I have 2. I recommend if you do have 2 monitors, have Shoost open on the other one. It makes this a lot easier. If we have Shoost open on the other, we can see if I click number 1, you can then see down here on the right where it used to say no signal, you can now kind of see like a pixelated version of your VTube Studio, which obviously is not what we want. So if you then click number 2, we can now see it's picking up my Shoost here. Now essentially now what this is doing, you may have noticed my actual VTuber has changed slightly in color or in shade. But essentially now what this is doing is this is now color matching one of your other sort of applications to your VTuber model. So you may have seen some streams where there's VTubers who their VTuber like shading and coloring is actually changing with the game they're playing, this is essentially what they use. But you want to essentially click the one until you can tell that this is your Shust here, and then you can mess with the overlay settings, which is basically how much that the overlay or the window is affecting the color. And then if you find in some cases it may make your VTuber quite dark, you can also turn up the brightness as well. So 65 for me works quite nicely. And as you can see now that we've changed that setting, my actual VTuber like sort of shade and color has now been essentially color matched with my background, now really blending in the sort of the character, making it look like the VTuber is really in the scenery. And with that, that concludes this tutorial. If there is anything I missed, please feel free to leave a comment. But if you are using this for stream, then make sure in the Spout 2 capture options in your sources, make sure to send, instead of having it as first available sender, set it to Shust specifically. And then with that, that should be everything set up and done. If you're using this just purely for video purposes, then obviously you don't actually need to have OBS running at all to actually use the software. And obviously, as you can see up here, you can just click browse, select a file or folder that you want your recordings and screenshots to be saved to, give it a name, and then simply just click start recording or screenshot. In the next video, I'll be sort of messing around with more of the effects and presets so I can show you how I achieved looks. But I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. But yeah, feel free to drop comments on anything you might be confused about. If I did miss anything, then please do. So thank you guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.